Rich, very excited to meet you because we've never actually met in the real world at all. So by the wonder of Zoom, I'm finally getting to meet you. Richard Heaven in the shed. And Rich, I first came across you when Jim Hall, who we've yet to meet in these little series of Shedcasts, his book, Boy, he said to me, Neil's mate, Rich is going to do the for me. And that's the first I heard of you. So you're all the way down in Southampton or the Isle of Wight?
I did live in Southampton for a bit, but it's Isle of Wight.
Back on the Isle of Wight. Fantastic.
Oh, yes.
And I guess what I was interested in is how you, I know lots of things about you. That I know you joined the Navy, I know you're really into music, I know you do poetry, but the way that I met you was through design, and I used to call you a graphic designer, which I think is too narrow for you. So tell me a bit about the art side and how that developed.
Okay, I mean, also, yes, great to meet you as well. Like I say, you haven't actually even talked on the phone before, so after so many years, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, started off doing art in high school, and that's kind of late 90s, early 2000s. So we're talking about the time there's one computer with Photoshop for a whole art department. There's a very different beast to it is now. Went to university, did graphic design there, kind of tried to make that work and didn't. And yeah, I was doing little bits of merch for the band because I used to run a small record label called Logtooth Cowards, and we had our own magazine as well. And so I kind of got involved in a lot of band merch and tour posters, that kind of thing through that. And yeah, I became friends with Neil, and through Neil I became friends with Jim, and did a couple of books for him. Because I think it was actually one before Boy, like a little pamphlet he did. I did a tiny little bit of photo work for. It wasn't the greatest stuff, but it's probably my first interaction with Jim. Probably wasn't a great representation of what I do. Yeah, and then, like I say, Jim got in touch with himself, and then we just kind of carried on working. Yeah.
I think for me, it was like the way that Big White Shed work is not, I don't mean it's not normal, but we have a way of working which is very much about grabbing the jigsaw pieces and putting them together. So I think the experience of working with you on Jim's book, which I absolutely love, because it's like a sort of not it is collage, isn't it? It's just ripped up sketches and drawings, and it really suited the content. I really felt like it grasped what the content of the book was. And then Neil's, which again is like, it's quite a simple idea, but it just worked brilliantly for Neil's thing. And it was just working with you, because I know nothing about design. I know what looks rubbish, but I don't know what to do about it. And it struck me that you had that sort of structure of the graphic design to know that you need a highlight color or you need a font to be doing this. And that was really helpful for me, because I could go, oh, I want this and this and this. And you'd go, right, let's wind it back in a bit. How about that? So for me, in the sort of Big White Shed world, that was fantastic, because you sort of didn't make me feel stupid about not knowing about design. And there have been times where you've taken control and gone, no, I'm not doing that because it will look shit. So I think that.
That's probably word for word correct as well.
Or I think you say things like, well, I could, but I wouldn't recommend it. And you've been told, let's do it that way. And then I think the one where you did a lot of work was with, this was Stephen Thomas.
Yes.
And he came to me with, he said to me, oh, I'm not like your other poets. So a lot of them are funny. They're quite, basically it's an alphabet. And I said to him, oh, it'd be really cool to have an illustration for every letter of the alphabet. And then we handed it over to you, really. So because working with Stephen, he wouldn't mind me say, he's meticulous, he knows what he wants, and yet he's quite chaotic. So managing that was like, it was great fun, but I wondered what that was like when you were doing some of the drawings.
Honestly, it's quite good training for me because I had to really think, right, I've got 3 weeks to do this. I've got 26 illustrations in the cover. I need to be knocking out at least like eight a week. And that's just when I started to retrain and go into the merchant navy. So I was there in my bedroom with another person, engineer, and I was doing it split between the bedroom and the library. But I think it's quite good because we had that time frame as well. We were able to say, I think the day we actually sent it off, you were taking your kids to the school one, and we are like, right, it's got to be done at 9 o'clock because we can't work later than that. So we did, and I think that kind of helped, especially when you say like Stephen being meticulous. He had to say, look, we've got an hour left today. We can't do that, but we can do this. So that really helped. I quite enjoyed that project. Like, it was big, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I love it because it's sort of, I mean, there's K. I don't know if it's got just a K with
the knickers.
So yeah, I just the whole thing looks beautiful, and I sort of, I don't know, there we go. I feel like that's a bit of a self-portrait there. Don't know if you...
bit better on top, but
so tell me a bit about the Navy, because there's me throwing all this design work at you, thinking you're a graphic designer. I've got a graphic designer contact, and then you sort of went, "Nah, mate, I'm joining the Navy."
Yeah, that was a funny one. Yeah, I mean, probably good start off drawing a distinction between like the Navy and the merchant Navy. What we do isn't military based; it's more tipping most stuff you get around the house, around the world as a whole, or people in terms of the cruise industry or livestock. Which, admittedly, through 14 months of the year, I've only seen one livestock vessel in real life. I don't want to work on them ever. Yeah, we take a lot of stuff to bases around the world, a lot of vehicles. Because our ship's called like a roll on, roll off, because basically the whole back end comes off. You roll up and the back end just goes like a transformer and lowers down. Crazy, and you can drive all your cargo off. It's brilliant. But yeah, basically, years ago, before they're in Big Boat said, and probably only knew Neil for a year or two at this point, I guess. Yeah, I was doing at uni doing graphic design, running PFC, and one of our friends joined the Merchant Navy, also on a record label. So spoke to him for a bit, and it just stuck in my mind. I really liked the idea, and then I kind of finished uni, came back home, did a few crappy jobs, and it just stuck in my mind. So I thought I'd reapply and retrain. And yeah, I'm right at the end of the retraining now. I've got final exam 2 weeks on Monday now.
Oh, that's good. It's all got paused because of lockdown, hasn't it?
It did, yes. Yeah, that was meant to be beginning of April or May. April, I think, yes.
So that'll be a good feeling. And are you...
Yeah, definitely.
So the graphic design then, that's still, or the design, the art, that's still going to be part of you, I guess.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Like, I think the nice thing between now and finishing uni where I took it more seriously is I only work with people who do projects I want to do now, instead of thinking I want to make this into a job.
Yeah.
I'm going to take on everything, which makes it a lot more enjoyable for me, and you get to do more fun stuff like your own projects. And Big White said, which is great. So generally prefer doing design now than I did back in the day.
Yeah, I can see that. It's the minute it becomes a financially driven enterprise, I just think it will lose its heart and soul, which means we'll always
definitely,
but we'll always be producing work and working with people who we're like little kindred spirits, I think, that find each other. It's great. You do some, I know you're into like death metal music, aren't you? You're like a proper...
No, I don't really listen to much metal. It's more kind of punk, hardcore, emo, I think, and hip hop.
Okay, I've got completely the wrong impression from stalking you on social media, because you're I guess it's the punk influence, isn't it? Because you do a lot of merch. You sell badges and...
Yes, I'd love to do more of them.
They're quite dark creations, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I for the next set I'm going to do, I did one set which is just normal nihilism. I did one which is all based on dinosaurs and stuff, because who doesn't love dinosaurs? And I don't know what the next one's going to be. I'd like to maybe do another set of badges after I go to sea and I come back again.
Yeah.
Hopefully the COVID creative world doesn't calm down by that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do for that. Maybe space? I'm not sure.
Ooh, space.
Yeah, I do have naturally fun. I do have a soft spot for some of the darker imagery.
Yeah. I've just realised, actually, talking about the punk thing, you're in the middle of working on I think we've just sort of signed off the cover for the next Big White Shed book, which is Denim and
Yes.
Leather by Frank McMahon, which has kind of been slowed by the COVID thing, because I think the communications are less. And that very much, again, you were the obvious person to do that cover, because he'd come up with an idea of his own, and I'm like, no, we're not having that. Let's get
That wasn't a good idea.
on the game. So I'm quite excited to bring that one forward. We were thinking, weren't we, before, about what books you've done. I've got Love Spurn here, which things has been fantastic with you. When you worked on my book with me,
that was good.
It was like, so the illustration, the cover image is from a charcoal drawing, but you've turned it into a whole cover. So that's really, really useful to have someone like you when I go, I know what I want on the front, but I don't know how to make it into a cover. And it's often that the artists that I meet, they don't do covers, and that's fine. It's a completely different art, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's the nice thing about doing graphic design. This is just commercial art anyway, university, and then starting to illustrate probably 5 or 6 years later, just out of pure frustration and boredom. It's been like a nice double-edged sword. You got always 2 skills there.
Yeah.
I think I was working on your book when I was actually on SIF, so I was saying, right, we're going to Norway, so we'll be back in 10 days' time, so I could use my phone to send you this file then, or something like that. That was quite a juggling act.
It was, and again, that's been brilliant, because the communications have been really just fluid communications, going, yes, message received, but I can't do that until Wednesday at 3 a.m. or something like, I'll be in dot then, I'll have internet connection, I can send it to you. And when the printer goes, the printer I use in Poland is very blunt and sends me emails like, the cover is wrong. Sorted. Like, okay, what's wrong with it? So I know we've had a few conversations like that when I've gone, I think the size is wrong, and you've gone, it's fine, but I can't do it till 9 in the morning when I can get into the library to get onto the right whatever it is. So that's been quite fun. You've done Love Spurn as well, which was again, it was a painting by Ivor Sexton, and you created the cover from it, which seems,
I really like that one.
I really loved it, and again, it just suits the book beautifully. So I don't know, it seems, when I'm talking about it, it seems straightforward, like, oh, here's a picture, stick it on a cover, but it's not, because you've sort of, it's art in itself, the way that it looks like it's a stuck on or a peeled off poster kind of thing. Yeah, really, really clever. And Neil, good old Neil, I kind of strong arm Neil. Again, this was someone else's illustration, wasn't it?
It was.
Just put into a cover. But no, it's been a real.
That one came. I think that one came. It was just the black and the. I'm looking at left-hand side, so it's probably right-hand side in real life. But it was just the black ink on white paper, the original version of that one, wasn't it? So it's just. And I think that's kind of the important thing of looking at any design job. You look at something and you think, do you have to make it your own, or do you have to just work with what you're given and kind of put it in its best light and bring it out as best as you can? Kind of what I enjoyed about that one.
Yeah, maybe it's you don't let ego get in the way. You just do the job. It's been great. And I have worked with various other designers who are lovely and everything, but I feel like with you, I don't have to finish a sentence. You just get what I'm talking about. And that's been really helpful. And I know as well, I didn't realise for quite a long time, you're a poet too.
Yeah, I've kind of stepped back a little bit, but I did do a fair few years of performing and spoken word stuff.
And I know I said to you, it must be about a year ago now, Rich, if you ever want a book doing, send it over. The shed is yours.
I'd still love to do that at some point, and it'll probably be some kind of comic book in some form, or comic novel, or something along those lines. It's kind of something I'm looking forward to do when I go to sea next time. I get a bit of free time. It's kind of when you know you're working set hours and you're in the middle of the ocean, there's nothing else. There's a kind of nice clarity that comes with that, but you could sit down and just work on something without all the distractions of 90% of modern life. So I think I'll probably crack on with something then and buzz it over.
That would be exciting. So when you're at sea, do your mates know that you're a secret scribbler?
Most of them know I perform, to be honest. Like, I used to have a couple of bits online because years and years ago, me, Jim, Neil, and King Dammers did like a 4-way split on cassette. So I used to have that online for a bit. But yeah. So when you say scribbler, do you mean writing or drawing?
All of it. You're this sort of manly, beardy bloke out riding your clothes, and then in the darkness of the cabin at night, you're there sketching and drawing and poeming.
I don't really mention the writing bit too much, but they all know I'm an illustrator because I've done a few bits with them, and on the Ships from the Fleet, there's a few of my illustrations on the ship books, that kind of thing now. It's a really good way to break the ice with people sometimes.
If you had to choose sailing or the art, which would you choose? Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock.
Probably sailing at the moment. I mean, the best thing about that is you get 6 months off a year, so yeah, you can do both. You just got to be careful with it.
So what's next for you? A couple of weeks you qualify because you're going to pass the exam with flying colours.
Hopefully.
Is it a sit-down, proper written exam?
No, I kind of wish it was. It's more like an interview. So you sit down, you've got like an hour and a half chatting with someone who's captain on ships as well. And he goes through various stuff. You talk about safety and procedures and how the weather works and stuff like that. And then you also stuff like recognising ships at night purely by their lights, how to respond to buoys, you see, and what they all mean, rules for road. Because it's like, a big part of it's kind of like, if you remember your theory driving test, it's a lot like that in terms of how ships interact with each other.
Yeah. That sounds quite daunting, actually. You seem like you're a very sociable, outgoing person on the one hand, but you seem like a sort of an extrovert, introvert from the communications that I've had with you.
I like being able to manage how social I can be.
Yeah.
I like being social when it's social on my terms and I've got the NPC. I think we're all like that to a certain extent.
Yeah, I guess
especially in this kind of field.
I guess so.
Like creatives and arts and poets, we all have times we need to recharge and make sense of the world.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if that sort of helps you when you have to go away and take an idea, and you do have to cut yourself off to a certain extent, don't you, and not listen to people like me going, I want it blue, I want it red, I want it this, and just hone in.
I mean, you say that like a bad thing, but sometimes it's really helpful. It's good to have someone else throw those ideas that you wouldn't do in your head because it's so easy to get stuck in your head. So it does help to have that second voice at times.
Oh, you say all the right things, Rich, don't you? I'm dead chuffed that we've managed to get to speak to each other. I've really enjoyed it. And I did feel like I knew you before because of the conversation we've had and
definitely
on social media and what have you. So, and I can't wait I really think some of the big white shed poets have got to come down south. And
I'll be well up for that.
Whenever we're allowed to do that, it would be awesome. And I'm waiting for that book. And if you go to anyone else to have it, there'll be, I know where you live, I'll come and find you.
I won't be, don't worry, that's fine. I think it'd be great if we could do kind of like a Midlands Southern mass up, get some great, because Southampton has some brilliant poets as well. Like do a mass up night, a big white shed, best of the Midlands, and then best of Southampton on one bill. That'd be absolutely fantastic, but who knows when that'll be.
That would be. We will do it. Here's my oath. We'll do it. Definitely. Yeah. Fantastic. Richard Heaven, it's been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, I'll see you when I see you, when we've next got a book on. Good luck with that exam.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, Anne. It's been a pleasure.
Great. I'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.